For 40 years, my wife diligently cared for the rose bushes in front of our door because she thought they were my favorite flower, and I always proudly boasted to guests that they were her passion. Everything was perfect until last night, when a neighbor accidentally let slip that my wife actually absolutely despised those thorns and only endured them because of me. We often mistake silent sacrifice for the highest expression of love, but in reality, if that sacrifice forces you to wear a mask in front of your spouse for your entire life, then it is not love. It is the most polite deception on earth. I am sitting in the worn leather armchair in the sunroom, looking out at the backyard where Elaine's rose bushes are drooping under the persistent gray drizzle characteristic of Manchester. At 78, my ears can no longer clearly hear the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway, but I hear another sound, as clear as day, echoing through the stillness of the house. It is the gentle clink of a silver spoon against a porcelain cup coming from the kitchen. Elaine is making tea. She always makes tea at exactly 10 in the morning, not a minute off, following the same routine she has performed for the past 45 years. We have lived in this red brick suburban house for nearly half a century. If you ask the young neighbors who just moved into number 42, the Harrison family, they would tell you that Mr. and Mrs. Morris are the gold standard of a blissful marriage. They see us walking hand in hand every Sunday afternoon through the park. They see me patiently opening the car door for her every time we go to the supermarket. They admire the politeness, the order, and the complete absence of loud conflicts in this house. I am a retired civil engineer. I spent my professional life calculating loads, ensuring bridges never shook or collapsed in the storm. And I did exactly the same thing with my marriage. I built a perfect, solid structure, a fortress of decency. But this morning, as the chill of the fog seeped through my old sweater, I realized I was shivering, not because of the cold weather, but because of a truth growing inside, pressing against this old chest. I realized I am living in a magnificent monument, not a home. And if you think that flat, ripple-free peace is the ultimate destination of love, then sit down, because I'm afraid you are walking down the same terrifyingly lonely road that I did. People often think the greatest enemy of marriage is betrayal or earth-shattering arguments that shake the walls. We are taught to fear the sounds of breaking divorce papers and separation. I believed that too for nearly 80 years of my life. I believed that as long as the house was peaceful, as long as we still walked together on holidays, that was a victory. But the thing that is truly destroying me, the thing suffocating me in this comfortable armchair, is the very perfection that everyone praises. We didn't live a life, we acted out a long-running play with no intermission. When the young Harrison family next door looks over the fence and says, "We wish we could be like you two," I just smile and nod, but inside a wave of shame rises up. Because the cruel truth is that our harmony wasn't built on understanding, it was built on avoidance. We were polite to each other to the point of cruelty. We never raised our voices because we had a silent agreement never to touch the thorny, sensitive, and most honest parts of each other's souls. We replaced connection with social rituals, replaced intimacy with responsibility. I realized that a good marriage, by society's definition, can be a grave burying two of the loneliest people on earth alive, where silence is camouflaged under the beautiful name of peace. But the tragedy of my life lies in the fact that I fatally confused functioning with loving. I didn't realize that the stability I proudly built was actually just a flashy veneer for cold indifference. I stopped seeing Elaine as a woman with burning desires, secret fears, and dark corners of the soul that needed sharing. Instead, I viewed her as a perfect function housekeeper, mother tea maker. I didn't ask her what she was thinking when she sighed looking out the window on rainy afternoons. I didn't ask why she quietly stopped playing the piano 10 years ago. I simply arrogantly assumed that if she wasn't complaining, it meant she was happy. I hid behind the Times every morning, hid behind the evening news, and hid behind the fake busyness of a breadwinner. I let my wife slowly die of loneliness right in the middle of a fully furnished living room, while I still patted myself on the back for being a model husband, just because I always came home on time for dinner. I lived beside her my whole life, but I never truly lived with her for a single day. Not once, but thousands of times I thought we had infinite time. The collapse of connection didn't happen with a loud bang. It happened in the silence of the word later. I remember in 1988 when our son started school, I saw Elaine crying softly in the kitchen. I intended to walk in, hug her, and ask, "What are you afraid of?" But then the phone rang from the construction site. I answered it. I told myself I'll talk to her when I get home tonight. But that night I was exhausted, and I moved it to the weekend. That weekend turned into next month. Next month turned into next year. In 1996, when she excitedly talked about a book club, I nodded absent-mindedly while my eyes were still glued to a blueprint. I thought, when this overpass project is done, I'll sit down and hear all the details. In 2005, when our son moved out, the house became vast and empty. I saw her standing hesitantly in front of his room. I planned to ask her for a walk, but then I thought, wait until I retire, we'll travel the world and we can talk to our heart's content then. I lived my whole life with a fictitious calendar in my head where tomorrow was always a better time to love than today. I treated my wife like a completed project that required minimal maintenance while I poured all my energy into things called the future. I thought time was an endless straight line we were walking on together, but I was wrong. Time is a river that erodes everything. While I was busy rescheduling appointments with my wife's soul to some indefinite date, she quietly learned how to live alone right next to me. I didn't notice that change until a mundane Saturday evening a few months ago, when a moment so small it was laughable tore apart the illusion I had worked so hard to weave. It was an ordinary Saturday evening when we accepted an invitation to a housewarming dinner at the Harrisons. The atmosphere was cheerful, the red wine was flowing, and the sound of laughter filled the room. Sarah, the young neighbor's wife, suddenly turned to me and complimented the brilliant climbing roses in front of my gate. I smiled confidently, placing my hand over Elaine's wrinkled hand, and answered for her out of the habit of being an understanding husband for decades. Oh, Elaine loves them. She spends every morning grooming that deep red color. It's her pride and joy. Sarah looked at me with confusion, then looked at Elaine and innocently blurted out, "That's strange, isn't it, yesterday when we were having tea? Ms. Elaine told me she hates the thorns on those roses and that the strong scent gives her a terrible headache. She said she's been tending to them for 40 years, only because Mr. Daniel likes seeing a house with roses." The smile on my lips stiffened. I whipped my head around to look at my wife, waiting for a correction, waiting for her to say Sarah had misunderstood. But Elaine just gently withdrew her hand from mine, smiled softly at Sarah, and said a sentence that made my heart constrict. "It's okay, dear. As long as they look perfect from the street, right, honey?" In that moment, amidst the happy clinking of other people's silverware, I knew I had lost. I had lost on my own home turf. I realized I loved the image of the house with roses, while my wife was merely the reluctant gardener enduring the thorns to preserve that flashy image for me. I had been living next to a stranger for half a century without having a clue. The party wound down, and we walked home in the cold Manchester fog. The distance from the neighbor's house to my front door was barely 10 steps, but that night, it felt like I was crossing a vast ocean with no bridge. That night, lying next to Elaine, listening to her familiar, steady breathing in the dark, I felt a numbing fear spread down my spine. I wanted to shake her awake. I wanted to scream to break this suffocating silence and ask, "Elaine, tell me, what else is there? What else do you hate that you've pretended to love for my sake, the vacations in Cornwall, or maybe even me?" But I lay still. My hand was stiff by my side, not daring to reach out and touch my wife's shoulder, because I realized a brutal truth. At 78, you can't tear down the house to rebuild the foundation. The concrete of habit, of endurance, and of social roles has set hard over half a century. If I confessed now that I knew the truth, I wouldn't just shatter her peace. I would negate the entire meaning of the life she had worked so hard to cultivate. She spent her life trying to please me, and for me to say, "I know you're suffering," right now would make that sacrifice meaningless. I stole her chance to be herself during her most vibrant years, and now that we are both on the downhill slope of life, I don't have enough time to give those years back to her. I am forced to accept that I will continue to live in this gentle lie until the day I close my eyes, and that is the most painful life sentence for my thoughtlessness. But what is more bitter is how I wrongly defined success throughout all those years. I spent my entire engineering career worshiping safety and technical specifications. I brought that rigid mindset home, believing marriage was a static structure that needed reinforcing, not a living body that needed nurturing. I prioritized doing it right over being close. I chose order over understanding. I thought that as long as I provided enough material, wealth didn't drink, didn't cheat, then that was the pinnacle of a good husband. I made a fatal mistake between no war and peace. The conflict-free silence I was so proud of keeping turned out to be a grave burying our emotions. I never made Elaine cry, but I also never knew how to make her laugh until she cried. I gave her a house that never leaked, but I forgot to build her a shelter for her secret thoughts. I thought success was keeping the marriage boat from sinking, without realizing we'd been drifting on two separate rafts for who knows how long. I won at maintaining a clean record in front of the world, but I lost completely at touching the heart of the woman who shared my pillow. And the price for that correctness was too high. But for you who still hold the key of time in your hands, things can be different. I can't tear down and rebuild the foundation anymore. The concrete of habit between Elaine and me hardened decades ago. I will continue to drink tea at exactly 10 in the morning, continue to smile politely when neighbors pay compliments, and I will carry this regret to my grave. I have no time left to fix the mistake. I only have time to endure it. But you are different. You aren't a 78-year-old man stuck in the quagmire of pride. You still hold in your hands the most precious asset I squandered, the present tense. Don't wait until everything is perfect to start connecting. Perfection is a deadly trap. You still have the chance to break that flashy shell of social pleasantries, still have the chance to accept the sharp thorns instead of just admiring the fake flowers. Don't let polite silence become the only language in your house, because there is something more important than the peace and quiet you need to face right now. I will sit back here with my cold tea in this perfect and silent red brick house. But before you return to the treadmill of your life, allow a failure like me to ask one small question. Look at the person lying next to you tonight, or the person busy cleaning in the kitchen. Are you sure you are seeing their true self, or are you just seeing the role they are playing to please you? Is there anything similar to that thorny rose bush, a pain and endurance, or a secret dream that person is straining to carry just to keep your world stable? But you are too thoughtless to notice because it's inconvenient to ask. Don't wait until you are 78 to dare to ask, who are you really? Because believe me, not knowing the person you love most when dragged on too long is no longer innocence. It is a crime of indifference. So what is the question you should have asked 10 years ago but is still stuck in your throat right now?